The story begins in the year 1993 in a town called Sherry Bottom. We meet a young boy named Darren who is watching his favorite TV show, O Mundo do Senor Crocket. The show's host, Emmanuel Crocket, is very kind to children and plays around with his two puppet friends, Blue and Bird. Darren is watching the show happily, but then his mom, Rhonda, calls him for dinner. Darren refuses. He wants to keep watching his favorite show. That's when his stepfather, Kevin, forces him to sit at the table and eat, even though Darren says he's not hungry. Kevin makes him eat everything and says if he doesn't, he'll be punished. Rhonda tries to stop Kevin, but he loses his temper and force feeds Darren. Rhonda is heartbroken and goes to her room crying, not knowing what to do. Meanwhile, something strange happens on the TV screen. Senor Crocket, Blue, and Bird seem to be watching something. It's like they're looking inside the house. Then the host leans forward and disappears from the TV screen. A moment later, his eyes appear inside the VHS player. Suddenly, Senor Crocket walks through the front door of the house. He says he's here to help Darren. Kevin gets angry and asks who the stranger is. But then, his chair turns into a monster and bites his hands. Crocket calmly sits at the table and gives Darren a giant cotton candy. He says Kevin will get a chance to become a good stepfather, but this time, he has to eat the food, just like he forced Darren to. But Crocket uses his magic to make the food rotten and disgusting. When Kevin refuses to eat, Crocket uses another trick. He stabs Kevin in the stomach and pours the food directly into the wound. Then he pushes a hot metal rod into it. Darren watches all this, thinking it's just a weird joke. Upstairs, Rhonda hears screams. When she runs into the living room and sees what's happening, she screams in horror. Elsewhere in the town, Summer and her son Major are on their way to church, attending a funeral for her late husband Gerald. Summer is grieving, but Major doesn't care. He just keeps playing his video game. Even when they return home, Major shows no emotion. Guests at the house tell Summer she should discipline him. Just then, the VHS player in the house turns on by itself, and Senor Crocket's voice is heard. Later, Major goes outside to play. That's when Rhonda comes over and says her son, Darren, has gone missing. She's sure Senor Crocket took him and warns that Major might be next. Major gets scared and starts calling for his mom. Summer runs to him and tells Rhonda to leave the house. Before leaving, Rhonda gives Summer a warning. Never leave your son alone. If Crocket comes, you'll never get him back. Major and Summer go inside while Rhonda walks through the streets singing Crocket's theme song. That night, Summer lies awake in bed, missing her husband. Suddenly, she hears a noise outside. She checks and finds an old mailbox that wasn't there before, right in front of her house. Inside it is a VHS tape called O Mundo do Senor Crocket. Summer thinks maybe the tape could help Major learn better behavior. She gives it to him as a gift, and it works. Major becomes fully focused on the show, giving Summer a little time to relax. But what she doesn't know is, the tape is connected to a dark, evil power. And it's not just in her house. Many children have already received these cursed tapes. One of them is a girl named Carrie. She's watching Crocket's show in her room when suddenly the TV turns off. She goes to her dad, Bill, and asks him to fix it. She sees him passed out and pours water on his head to wake him up. He wakes up but lazily says the TV can't be fixed. Carrie insists, but Bill snaps at her and tells her to leave him alone. Alone in her room again, Carrie quietly sings Crocket's theme song. Suddenly the lights go out. Then the TV turns on by itself. A human hand starts coming out of the screen. Meanwhile, in the living room, Bill hears something. When he goes to check, he sees Mr. Crocket sitting on his chair. Crocket says he heard shouting and came to check if everything was okay. But Bill gets angry and grabs a gun, tells him to leave. When Bill pulls the trigger, only a soap bubble comes out. Then he realizes he can't move his body. Crocket stands up with a creepy smile in his eyes and says, "Let me teach you how to be a good father." He starts singing a song. Then he makes Bill aim the gun at his own face. This time another bubble comes out, but it lands on Bill's mouth and seals it shut. He starts choking. Crocket keeps singing. The bubble grows bigger and bigger, until finally Bill's head explodes. Carrie hears the sound and comes to the living room. Her favorite show host invites her to join him in the show. At that moment, Rhonda has tracked Crocket down. She looks through the window and sees him, but Crocket only gives her a creepy smile, ignores her, and disappears with Carrie. A few days later, Summer checks on Major to see what he's doing. He is watching the Mr. Crocket show again. Suddenly, there's a glitch in the video, and the puppet bird turns its face straight toward the screen, as if it's looking directly at Summer. Then the video goes back to normal, but Summer gets scared. She quickly turns off the TV and says, "Come on, son, let's go play together." When she turns off the TV, Major gets very angry. He threatens his mom, saying that if she doesn't turn the tape back on, he will throw down the photo frame of his dad from the shelf. Summer tells him not to, but Major throws it on the floor anyway. Not just that, he also breaks Gerald's trophy. This is too much for Summer. In anger, she punishes Major and shouts, "I'm tired of being your mother." Hearing this, Major starts crying and runs to his room. Later that evening, Summer feels guilty about what she said. She decides to go and apologize to Major. But as she walks through the hallway, she hears the sound of the TV. The Crocket tape is playing again. She quickly grabs the remote and turns off the TV. But just a few seconds later, the TV turns itself back on. Summer tries pressing the remote buttons again and again, but now it doesn't work, and the TV volume keeps getting louder by itself. Scared, Summer throws the TV to the ground. But from the broken screen, Crocket himself comes out. Summer panics and runs to grab a baseball bat. She swings it at him, but Crocket pulls out a magical pen that blocks the attack. Then he opens a magic portal and runs toward Major's room. Summer runs after him, but it's too late. Crocket opens another portal and takes Major with him inside. Summer quickly calls the police, but just like with Rhonda, no one believes her. Meanwhile, Major wakes up inside Crocket's TV show world. There he sees Darren and some other kids too. Crocket tells them, no one will feel sad in this world, but that world is fake. It's all a lie. Crocket and his puppets are actually evil creatures. The next morning, Summer goes out looking for her son. She finds out that Bill and his daughter Carrie are missing too. Now she realizes that all of this is connected. She goes to a library and finds an old case file. Back in the 1970s, a show host named Emmanuel Crocket had also kidnapped a boy named Anthony. The police had shot and killed Crocket, and the boy was found, but after that, the boy disappeared again. Summer keeps researching, then she suddenly hears Crocket's theme song playing inside the file room. When she looks, the TV is playing again, but this time, Crocket talks directly to her in a threatening voice. He says, "Leave me alone, or you'll end up just like your husband." To prove his point, he reaches out from the TV screen to grab her, but Summer escapes just in time. As she leaves the library, she meets a man named Ed Bricks. He saw the missing poster of her son. Ed tells her that his daughter Lauren also went missing a month ago, and he knows everything about Crocket. He says he found out that Summer is the only person who survived a Crocket attack, but Summer says Rhonda survived too, so the two of them decide to go find her together. At night, when Summer tries to rest, she suddenly sees her husband Jair standing in front of her. She hugs him sadly and tells him everything that's been happening. But after a while, Jair's behavior changes. He starts blaming Summer, saying it's her fault for not taking care of Major. Then suddenly, Jair pulls off his own skin, and Crocket comes out from underneath. He threatens Summer again, saying that if she doesn't stop trying to stop him, something bad will happen. But thankfully, it was just a nightmare. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. It's Ed. He says, "I found where Rhonda is." Summer and Ed immediately go to Rhonda's secret hideout, but when they get close, they accidentally set off an alarm. Rhonda appears suddenly and points a knife at Summer, but Ed quickly pulls out his gun and threatens to shoot if Rhonda tries anything. In the middle of this tense moment, Summer calmly explains that they've come to help her. They know what happened with Crocket and her missing son. Rhonda realizes they're telling the truth, so she lets them into her hideout, where she has set up a monitoring system of TVs and VHS players. Rhonda has somehow found a way to connect her mind to Crocket's using the TV. She shows them a demonstration. As she connects, they see Crocket's past when he was just a failed artist. After a while, Rhonda goes into a trance and says that Crocket is going to attack again very soon. They see a young girl arguing with her parents on the screen, and there's a signboard showing her location. When Rhonda wakes up from the trance, Summer decides to go to that place and face Crocket and make him return Major and Darren. When they get there, the house is wrecked from the inside. On one wall, they find what looks like the body of the girl's father, killed by Crocket. Just then, Crocket takes the girl into his world, and he senses that someone is nearby. He comes out and uses his powers to throw the furniture aside and finds Summer and Ed hiding. He's about to attack, but Rhonda appears from behind and hits him with a chair. The three of them try to run away, but sadly, Crocket catches Rhonda first. He stabs her with a sharp piece of chair and drags her away. Summer tries to help, but Ed finds a portal, a magic doorway made by Crocket. He tells Summer, "Go through now, save the kids." When they go through the portal, they arrive at the destroyed set of Crocket's show. On one wall, they see Puppet Blue in its monster form. They try to run, but Crocket suddenly appears and ties Summer to a monster chair. Then he calls all the kids he has captured. One of them is Major, who is now under Crocket's control. Once all the kids gather, Crocket starts telling them a story, his own childhood story. He says that his father treated him very cruelly, and when he grew up, he took revenge on his father in a way that looked like an accident to everyone. After that, he decided to protect all kids from bad parents. He became a TV show host where he met a boy named Anthony. Anthony was also treated badly at home, so Crocket brought him to live with him. But when Anthony's parents found out, They called the police. That night, the police came to Crocket's house, but he hid Anthony in a closet and attacked the police. When Anthony saw what was happening, he got scared and tried to run away, but a police officer panicked and shot his gun. At that moment, Crocket jumped in front of the bullet to save Anthony and died. But after that, he made a deal with a devil in exchange for his soul. He got his own world, where he could take children and punish bad parents. Now he says he also punishes parents who make their kids do boring things, like homework or going to bed on time. After seeing how crazy Crocket's plan had become, Summer promises to stop him. She asks Ed to free her from the chair, but sadly, Ed says no and shows his true face. He is actually Anthony, the same boy Crocket once saved. He says the story about his daughter going missing was fake. Since the day Crocket died, Anthony always wanted to meet him again because Crocket was the only person who was ever kind to him. Years later, when Anthony heard that Summer had survived Crocket's attack, he used the chance to see Crocket again. Now that he's finally got what he wanted, Anthony says he wants to stay with Crocket and will destroy anyone who gets in the way. He points his gun at Summer, about to shoot, but then Crocket calls him. Anthony gets excited, but Crocket suddenly rejects him, saying he only liked Anthony as a child, not as a sad adult. Crocket says he wants him out of his world and tells the kids to throw him out. Anthony begs to stay, but Blue, a scary puppet monster, sneaks up behind him, cuts his neck, and eats him alive. Summer is horrified by all this and tries hard to escape from the chair. Seeing her bravery, Crocket tells her that if she wants to get her son back, she'll have to convince him to return home. He frees her from the chair and calls Major, her son. Summer tries her best to talk to him. Even though his mind is under Crocket's control, Major starts to come back to his senses just from hearing his mom's voice. This moment touches Crocket deeply, but still, he tries to convince Major to stay in his world, where no one will ever reject him. Major comes to his mom and says sorry, but then falls under Crocket's control again. Summer is heartbroken, thinking her son has left her. Crocket happily says his plan has worked. Now he says it's time to play hide and seek. He tells the kids to find Summer and says whoever brings her head will win a giant cotton candy. Summer runs and hides in a dark storage room filled with old stuff, but the kids find her, and Carrie, under Crocket's control, cuts her leg. Summer barely escapes and runs away, but then she meets Red, a monster puppet who scratches her badly. Summer fights back, knocks Red down, and kills him. Then Crocket appears again and turns on the lights. He tells the kids to hold Summer against the wall because she lost the hide-and-seek game. He turns his magic pen into a knife and gives it to Major, asking him to kill his own mother. Summer blows the whistle Gerald gave her, hoping her son will recognize it, but Major ignores it, hugs Crocket, and walks toward his mom with the knife. Summer closes her eyes, ready to die. Crocket watches, smiling, but then something surprising happened. Major was pretending. He had secretly taken Crocket's magic pen. Using the pen, Major frees all the kids from Crocket's control. Crocket becomes furious and attacks them. Summer picks up the pen and stabs Crocket in the stomach, cutting him in half. Then she draws a portal, and they all return to the real world. But just as they're leaving, the wounded Crocket grabs Major's leg and says, "Wherever I go, I'll stay with you." But Summer quickly pulls her son away, and they both escape from Crocket's world forever. A few days later, Summer goes to church, where there's an adoption event for the kids Crocket had captured. She meets Rhonda there, who is still alive. They feel happy to see each other and know the nightmare is finally over. Summer also returns Darren to his mother. The mother and son are happily reunited. After many painful days, Summer and Major's life starts getting better. Major becomes more respectful and helps his mom around the house. But one morning, the school principal visits Summer and says something strange is happening around Major. Kids say a weird man is seen near him, who calls himself Major's father, and says he'll take all parents to another world. Summer realizes it must be Crocket again. At the same time, Major is in his room, drawing a picture of Crocket. When he reaches for another colored pencil, he finds the magic pen again, a sign that Crocket is still alive and planning to return. So friends, what do you think? Will Mr. Crocket come back again or not? Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next recap, right here on this channel. Until then, goodbye and take care. ***.